stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Into the trends. See you, Lee, be the band.
Welcome to Bleachers and Speakers. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster. Before we get started and kick off this pregame show, I want to remember wrong button. It's been that kind of morning. Subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube. Also, for the podcast aggregators, just follow us at Bleachers Speakers FFSN. Those are platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you hit the notification bell and make sure you're following us so whenever we drop, you'll get an alert. Download those episodes. Foster, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going, bro? Sadly, tough break for the Tigers yesterday, but I don't want to sit up here and act like the Tigers did not have a great season. Great finish, even with a loss.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the Lions in that we advanced. So the Lions advanced 2 rounds, the Tigers advanced 1 round, but ultimately we had an opportunity, had opportunities to advance further, but just fell a little short. Both teams didn't necessarily expect to be as successful as they were, which kind of, is the good part about it, is that we overachieved, but nonetheless, it gives hope for the future to, go all the way and bring a championship home.
Well, one thing about it, when you have a season like that, I know you have to wait a whole off season and then another 162 game, but there's the feeling of hope, is you can't replace that. That this Tigers team is for real. They'll be back. It's been 10 years without a playoff appearance. So, and then the team looks good. So I'm looking forward to more Tigers. I'm definitely going to follow them, more closely next year because I'm interested. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Tigers. Fell a little short. They showed they belong. I mean, it could have been one of those games. Game 4 was a close game, and they had plenty of opportunities yesterday but they left a lot of men on base, stranded on base yesterday. And I think it caught up with them at the end, but they belong. The Tigers do belong. So, nonetheless, we have the Lions playing today. And Foster, I watched the replay of last year's game, and I got pissed off again.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that to yourself.
It's like on Sports Center. It's like they're showing what happened last year. And I kind of forgot about it. You know what I'm saying? I knew it was some bull because, after the game, I tried to immediately throw it out of my mind. Like, there was some crap. This is this, that, and other. But they showed it this morning now, and it triggered something. I was pissed off all over again. So for me, today is a must win. Just not because of the standings, not because of the season, because of what happened last year in Dallas. We owe them. And I've been doing a little research, Foster. I usually don't do this to the opponents. But I didn't know much about Dallas this year. I hadn't watched a lot of Dallas. But did you know that Dallas is ranked number 30 against the rush?
Against the rush?
Against the rush. Defensively against the rush, they're ranked at number 30. The Lions are ranked number 2 rushing the ball. Oh, I like this.
Yeah. But yeah, my numbers, it all depends on where you go. But yeah, mine say 24, but
it's still bad.
Not good. Yeah.
It's still bad. Yeah. I heard that statistic yesterday, and from my notes, I gathered 30, but let's say it's 24, right? I know the Lions are the second best have the second best rushing offense in the league. And if you don't want to agree with that, all I got to do is say Montgomery and Gibbs versus a number 24 uh, defense against the run. I'll take that any day. Right now, the strength of this team has been their pass defense. They're pretty decent versus those, but I'm not worried. I think if we run the ball and run the ball effectively, we should win. I think Dallas is still trying to find themselves offensively. Uh, they're trying to find a running game, and they don't have it. So I feel really good about this game. I don't want to get into specifics right away, but this is one of those games where I'm ready to play, and I hate that it's at 4:00. Why you gotta wait off a bye week to play at 4:00? It should be at 1.
It's in Texas.
I mean, Texas is not on the West Coast, bro. They're an hour away,
Cowboys always play 4:00, I think.
Do they?
Yeah,
I never paid attention to it.
it's a common thing. It's kind of the reasons why I always kind of grew up watching them is because the Lions will play at 1, Cowboys will play at 4. Even on Thanksgiving, same thing. Lions
Well,
play early, Cowboys play second.
Well, as a kid, you couldn't help but watch Dallas on TV because they're going to play Dallas Cowboys football on TV, regardless of how the records are. There's always what was it called? America's team. There's
Yeah.
always that moniker behind them. They always you couldn't help but watch a Dallas game. You were going to watch Dallas play as a kid because they always aired them. No matter how good or how bad they were on TV. So I think everybody could you either love or hate the Cowboys. I don't hate them. I'm not, what I'm saying? I don't hate them. Like, you can't help but kind of like them with the players that they've had in the past. And they haven't won Super Bowl in a while, but when they were in their heyday, they looked invincible with Emmitt Smith, Troy, and Michael Irvin. And then they brought on Deion Sanders at one point. They look pretty they look pretty invincible at some point. So that was in 94, 95, 96, those years.
Yeah.
So, but Foster, what do you like about this game as far as the Lions?
Well, for one, the Cowboys are really, really banged up. It turns out Micah Parsons, Eric Hendricks, and a lot of dudes on their defensive line are outside of. I mean, Hendricks is a linebacker. Micah Parsons is like an edge rusher, defensive lineman, and then they have a couple other guys that are currently are currently out for certain. Deron Bland is questionable. He hasn't practiced.
Wait, hold on. Did you say Micah Parsons was out?
Yeah, he's out, and that wasn't the case on Wednesday. So,
okay, do tell. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut your wisdom.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah, he's dealing with a ankle injury of some sort. But it kind of reminds me of that Buccaneers game where they had a lot of guys out on their secondary.
And they played their hearts out.
They played really, really well. I mean, I think they had a chip on their shoulder, to be honest. But outside of that, obviously, we're coming off a bye week. We should, we should be a lot healthier. Frank Ragnow obviously is going to play through, his injury. But outside of the guys that we have that are already on the injured list on the IR, anyways, everybody seems to be pretty healthy, and I just like the idea of Ben Johnson getting a full week to be able to scheme and get ready for this already depleted defensive side from Dallas. So I think we should be in a good place. We just need to try to get to Dak. They protect Dak pretty well. because they're going to be passing the ball. Not only are they, I mean, this is pretty reminiscent. This is pretty holds pretty true. Teams that are bad against the run usually don't run very well, and that's certainly the
It's
case for
crazy
them.
how that works, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has something. I think it has something to do with just the makeup of the team for whatever reason. But yeah, they're definitely. I think that it's pretty obvious that they're going to be letting that ball fly. So we are going to give up some yards because that's just the way the NFL works. When teams throw a lot, they tend, they tend to be successful sometimes. We just
Mhm.
need to try to take the ball away, take the ball away, and make Dak as uncomfortable as we can in that pocket.
Yeah. One that's crazy how that works. But before I continue, I want to congratulate David Montgomery on a contract extension. Uh, yeah,
I didn't
they
know
gave
that.
him, they gave him a contract extension to all the way to 2027, 18.25 million. So yeah, we keeping it intact, baby.
I didn't know. That's crazy. I'm seeing it now. I did not know that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, they know. You know what? And I wasn't like the crazy. I wasn't totally against it because I knew we were losing Williams. I was under the impression we were losing Williams. But when they signed Montgomery, I'm like, okay, this will work because he's decent. I did not know he would be that good. Like I wasn't like, yeah, say it. I've heard so many people on that day when they signed David Montgomery, and it was like, you got all these other running backs available. You signed David Montgomery, and I'm like, hey, he's decent. Like
Yeah.
you know, I mess with it. I do. I did mess with it, and then but at the same time, I didn't expect what he brought to the table. And now it's like, okay, you seen what he did last year. You see what he's doing this year. Let's just go ahead and lock it down for a minute. Like I said, remember we talked about the Pistons not being a hotbed for free agents. The Lions were at that point not too long ago. But now the culture is changing. People are actually wanting to play here. We're getting free agents to come here. So when you get a good free agent, when you get a good draft pick, you lock them down. You know what I'm saying? You keep them. So I think that was a good move by the Lions by extending Montgomery. And like I say, man, he got to worry about next year, this, that, and other. He can just focus on football. So um I noticed something too yesterday, Foster, as well.
What was that?
The injury list for the Lions. It was pretty clean.
It is. It is clean.
I looked and I said, wait a minute, you mean tell me nobody's hurt? Outside of the people that are on injured reserve,
Mhm.
everybody else is healthy and there hasn't been any reports of injuries.
The,
That
the only,
means go ahead.
my bad. I didn't want to cut you. The only person I see is Christian Mahogany, the young offensive lineman who I don't
Mhm.
think he's taken a
He
snap yet
hasn't
this year.
taken a
He's
snap all year.
yeah, yeah. He's in a reserve role, but yeah, it looks like he is out from what I see on my end. But
Mhm.
yeah, outside of that, I know Kirby was nursing a hamstring injury. He was a full participant on Friday, and then Branch and Ragnar are
And that's
back
what I
as
wanted
well.
to bring up. We haven't had Branch. We didn't have Branch last game. We got uh, Ragnar back, and they don't even list him as having an injury whatsoever. You got like you said, you mentioned Kirby. I I think the defensive backfield is gonna hold up pretty well today. You get Branch and Kirby back, so I honestly like where it's going. Uh, The Lions, man, the Lions have been they've played consistent ball all year.
Yeah.
The one loss versus Tampa Bay that could have went in our favor. We a play or two, and that goes in our favor. You know what I'm saying? And they played with a chip on their shoulder. That defensive backfield for them held up pretty good, and they did some great things in the defensive backfield. But I think that was one of those games where you just slugged it out, and the last man standing was Tampa Bay. Um, I didn't walk away from that game feeling discouraged or anything. I loved what I saw versus Seattle. I saw that offense clicking. I seen the defense making plays when they had to. And hey, after a bye week, I expect the Lions to come out on all cylinders, both offense and defense. I'm gonna take a quick break, Foster, and we get back. We'll talk some more Lions and Cowboys. Foster, your boys are playing right now.
Oh, who's playing in the Europe game?
Chicago and the Jags.
Oh, slow morning for me, as you know.
They started at 9:30.
Yeah.
You know what? The one thing I don't like teams having to go to other countries to play. I think it disrupts any team's rhythm. You know, the rigors of traveling that far and, going to a different time zone and, you know what I'm saying, and being away from, your family and stuff for that week, this, that, and other. I just don't like it. But as long as it's not the Lions, I really don't give a damn.
Yeah, we haven't gone over there.
Those are for the teams that are trying to get more popular. I mean, we got it popping here, you know what I'm saying? I don't hate to toot my own horn, but it is what it is, But I'm glad the Lions don't have to go overseas like that. But the beauty of it is you get football from 9 in the morning all the way up to about 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I just hate the Lions are playing at 4. I don't even know if I'm going to watch any football before 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay attention to it because I got some stuff to do, but I'm going to pay attention. But before 4 o'clock, I don't know. I know I will be home in front of the TV camped out watching the Lions play Cowboys. So, Boston, how do you see this game going?
I think we're going to come out victorious, but the secondary is going to be tested. I do know that they have a pretty strong receiving core. They got CeeDee Lamb, of course, who got off pretty good last year. They got a guy named Cavante Turpin in the slot, and they also have a guy by the name of Jalen Tolbert. He's got 20 catches for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that tends to spread the ball around to all of his receivers and to his tight end Jake Ferguson, and Terrion Arnold will have another opportunity to redeem himself. I think they're gonna put Carlton Davis on CeeDee Lamb. I'm not really sure though, but
I don't think that's most teams in the NFL. They move their players around so much in the line. So, and there's so much zone defense being played. So, I don't know. We'll see how that holds up. I do think Dallas will have a problem with our pass rush.
Yeah, and we know Hutch. Hutch is coming off a quiet game where I don't think he recorded a single tackle. So obviously
he doesn't go 2 games in a row without a sack or something.
Yeah, but I think that in a sense, one of our strengths right now is our defensive line. DJ Reader has been pretty good. Aleem McNeil is always solid. Levi Onwuzurike has been a pleasant surprise. He's got 3 sacks this year, which is second on the team, only to Aiden Hutchinson. And that's a guy that we, nearly would have thought we might be cutting this guy because he just can't get on the field.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're going to take a significant amount of pressure off of our linebackers. Obviously, the anchor to our offensive linebacking core, Derek Barnes, is out. But Malcolm Rodriguez and Jalen Reeves-Maybin have played pretty well in reserve. Jack Campbell, is starting to step up as a second-year player. Alex Anzalone being the leader, but even though the even though the Cowboys are 31st in the league in rushing, we can't sleep on Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott, just because we were very susceptible to the run last week. This is the first game where the running back did kind of get off, and Kenneth Walker had 3 touchdowns. So can't. Of course, we're going to harp on the passing offense because they are so prolific in that category, but can't sleep on the run because every week is a new week, regardless of what the numbers tell us.
Yeah, I thought he only had a couple touchdowns, but he had 3. So you
Cool.
put in some work. You're putting in some work with 3 touchdowns for sure.
3 sacks. You talking about Levi?
No, I'm talking about Kenneth
Oh,
Walker.
Kenneth Walker. Yeah. 3 touchdowns. Like, I mean,
Did he have
they
100
weren't.
yards rushing?
I don't think it was even because I think they were a lot of short.
I think he had like 70 yards and 90 yards receiving. It was like a combined of like 170 yards altogether.
Yeah, so he had 80 rushing, but I'm
Mhm.
sure he had something out of the some receptions out of the backfield too. So
Yeah,
but 3
yeah.
touchdowns though.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, 4. He said it says 4 receptions. So I don't know if it's 80 total or what, but however you slice it, wow, kind of put him in a Pro Bowl light just off that game alone.
Let me ask you something, man, because
Yep.
I'm starting to see a pattern, right? Back in the maybe a few years ago, you could kind of gauge early how teams are. Let's say, for instance, let's say you take a team like the Jets, right? And I'm not saying, not looking at their personnel, just talking about win and loss. Say the Jets would play a game 1 and they would blow out a team like, I don't know, let's say they blew out San Francisco week 1, right?
Mhm.
And then you had week 2 where the Jets would play, or San Francisco would play a better team than the Jets. And you knew immediately, like, they lost to the Jets. They're not going to beat this team. That hasn't been the story this year.
No.
Like, you can't go by what someone did the week before and predict. Like, they've been playing. It's been like a pretty much a sporadic performance by a lot of teams. Like, if you look at, I think it was Frisco that played on Thursday night, and they played Seattle, and Seattle didn't look good. But we know Seattle, you know what I'm saying? We know Seattle was better than that, and Frisco hadn't played that well.
Right.
So it's like you can't go by last week's performance or game, like 2 weeks. You gotta look at it for who they are and the matchups more so than anything, because there's not a lot of you can't use last week's as a predecessor to how you're gonna fare this week. Because I
Yeah.
believe, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say that there's a lot of parity in the league, and obviously teams go through injuries. Like, you might play well in this week, but then your top corner might not play in the next game. But just overall, as we were kind of looking at who was the next best division after ours, it was kind of difficult because a lot of these teams are 2-2, 3-2. Like, there's no,
Mhm.
you got the Vikings are the lone undefeated team right now, right?
Kansas City.
Yeah, okay, KC has them. Yeah, and even they have dealt with a lot of injuries.
They've had close games and injuries, and
Yeah,
so they squeaked out a few victories early. So
yeah. So yeah, it's you can't say, oh, you just lost to the Jaguars this week, so you shouldn't be able to, like. It's a new week every week right now, and
I mean, look at Baltimore. They started off 0-2, and you're like, man, these are not who they, you know, this is not a good football team. And then they go blow out the Bills. And then
the Cowboys got blown out at home by the Saints, but
and the Saints have cooled off really, really. I mean, it's been, so you can't, it's hard to gauge. And you said it though, when those first 2 games by the Saints, and I'm like, look at what they're doing offensively. And you're like, it's gonna stop. And I'm
real
like,
soon.
at that clip, I don't think so. And it literally stopped.
I mean, they had scored what every possession or something. It was like, all right.
7 possessions in a row, touchdown.
Yeah, impressive.
At one point. Like that's insane, especially for a team you're not thinking that highly of. And you look at, I mean, I think the Lions last game versus Seattle, they scored about 5 touchdowns in a row. I think 5 possessions.
Mm-hmm.
It was touchdown. I mean, if it wasn't, I think the Lions. I think what was the final score? 42-29.
Something like that. I don't have it.
It's 42-29 versus Seattle.
Yeah, but that was nice. That was nice
Yeah.
to witness.
It was. That offense looked everything it needed to be. And although I don't want shootouts, I do not want shootouts. I want the defense to play some. Last year, the Lions played the Chargers in a shootout. Now, while the game was like very exciting, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want the defense to play. I want the offense to continue to, score points. But I don't like when the defense gives up that much points.
Hey, let me grab my charger real quick. Keep talking.
Go ahead. So we got the line, and there's implications with the standings. You got the Vikings at 5-0. Then you have the Lions at 3-1. I think everybody else is at 3-2, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's like the NFC North is the only division where all the teams are above 500. It's going to be a crazy ride. And you know what's crazy? Those Viking fans are looking very forward to the Lions game. They're getting cocky right now.
Is the first game in Minnesota or is it in?
It's in Minnesota.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And they are I know several Vikings fans, and they are looking very forward to this game. What they think is, and the consensus is, we're going to score on that defense.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pass. They can't stop us passing the ball, right? And my argument is, Donald's not that very good under pressure. Now, with the pressure on, he's not. And what they've been doing, what the Vikings have been doing is they've been jumping out early, first, second quarter, and then they get quiet the rest of the game. And I don't think you can do that versus very good teams. So I think like the last couple of games, Sam Darnold has looked like Sam Darnold without the interception. He's just been regular. Now, we know Justin Jefferson is a dog, and you know he's a beast, and he's going to get his touches, and he's going to go crazy, but he hasn't gone crazy every single game this year. Not saying he won't do it against us, but he's looked mortal. And there's a way you can guard against that. You can bracket him. He wouldn't be the one to beat us if it was me. I make sure he's double covered and everything else. I would do my best, but they didn't have to beat me with everybody else. I would try that, and then I'll definitely make sure we get some pressure on Sam Darnold in his face. He doesn't like pressure in his face.
Yeah, Darnold. Yeah, in the Jets game, and we know the Jets have a pretty tough defense. Sam Darnold went 14 for 31 for 179 yards and 1 interception. It looks like he got knocked out of the game for a quick second because Nick Mullins did get 1 completion for 24 yards. But
yeah,
and Justin Jefferson had a quiet game, but he did still have 6 receptions for 92 yards with 0 touchdowns. So no passing touchdowns the entire game. They got some help because they got a pick 6 in that game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's I can already kind of see. Yeah, definitely getting pressure right in Darnold's face, containing Jefferson, and we're getting too far down there. But
I know we got the Cowboys today, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I know I just see myself going down the wormhole of the
we'll talk more about this next week
For
for
sure.
sure.
For sure. Yeah.
For
We'll,
sure. So make sure you're tuning in to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube, and make sure you continue listening on those platforms we talked about earlier for your audio fix. We're definitely gonna preview that Vikings game. We have a show with Dave every Wednesday called Who Will Be Kings. That's the NFC North Division talk. And this will be the second head-to-head within the division. They played Green Bay a couple weeks ago, but we don't have a Green Bay representative in our and at FFSN. So if you're listening and you want to do this, what we're doing, what me and Foster are doing, you don't even have to do a visual. If you want to do a podcast, audio podcast, and you're a Green Bay Packer fan and you want to cover Green Bay, holla at me. You can leave a comment in the chat. You can follow me on Facebook, June Whitfield, or B Foster, and let us know if you're interested in doing uh, representing the Green Bay Packers and joining along. And if you get enough downloads, you can get a check. So it's so it's not like one of those things. But me and Foster don't do it for a check. We do this because we like doing what we do, and we have fun. Like the people we've met and the people we've talked to, we probably would have never ran across if we hadn't been doing this. Like we had we had the Rams show. We met he was a good guy from the Rams. He represented the Rams. I think the Saints have a crazy representation. They have somebody on their squad that does blogging, and they live in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
They're overseas, and they have about 9 or 10 people on their team, and they're doing shows constantly. With that being said, Bleachers and Speakers, if you want to cover Lions, if you want to cover the Pistons, you can get with me and Foster. We can get you hip. You can join Bleachers and Speakers, have your own show. Because we like to do more, but unfortunately, with our schedules, me and Foster can't do a Bleachers and Speakers show as much as we would like to. So if somebody wants to come along and do Bleachers and Speakers, we have the format, we have the studio, we have the StreamYard, we have the Spotify. Just let us know. We can get you started. We can get you started by even joining our show to get you comfortable to where you can hold your own show. So, but anyway, back to the Lions. Did I take a second break yet? No, I didn't. Let's take a quick break and we can wrap this up after this. I know Foster got some stuff to do. So, Foster, you got any plans for the game? Where you watching it at?
I might watch it over my family's crib.
Okay.
Yeah, I may do that.
I'll be posted right here, not in this room per se, but I'll definitely be home and I'll be watching it. I did some renovations down here. I got a new view, and I got rid of I had a couch down here where I can watch the games. Since I work down here and I podcast down here, I don't want to be down here when I'm no other time. So when I'm done working, I got rid of the couch. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna watch football down here. So I'll be home watching it. I got some running around to do. I'm going to miss probably the 1:00 games, but I definitely would be here. And depending upon what happens, you'll see me and you may see me and Foster right here this evening doing a post-game show. I got a feeling we're going to be here. We haven't missed a post-game show in I don't know how long, even when it's late. And I think it'll be like a prime time type show. It'd be around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I got a feeling the Lions will win. So I think we'll be here this evening. What do you think, Foss?
Yeah, you can bet on that.
We say we not, and then like there's been certain times when Foster be like, "Nah, it'd be too late. We're gonna do this. We'll do a show tomorrow." And then like fourth quarter, be like, "You go, we're gonna set something up. We're gonna do." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So, yeah, I'm never not down to do a show after the game, especially after a victory, or if there's some kind of parody. Now, it's a bad call that ends the game and we lose, definitely got to talk right then and there. You know, if it's a great win, if it's just Foster by himself or just me by myself, I'm gonna talk about it. Gonna talk about it. I got a question though before we get out of here, Foster. Have you still been writing?
Yeah. So, yeah, right now I'm working on a Lions one. I'm actually doing some grades for the defensive side of the ball, all the different all the position groups. So that'll be out at some point this week. But I do have a article dropping at 1:30 related to the takeaways after 3 preseason games. So, um, yeah, and yeah, so that's another opportunity to get in tune with the teams that we cover is through the writing aspect. So if you go to ffsn.com, click under the Lions tab, Pistons tab, Tigers tab, there'll be Tigers articles coming up, real soon, kind of concluding the year and all that type of stuff as well. So yeah, it's a nice way to absorb information via the writing aspect as opposed to the audio. But the audio stuff is on there too. When you click on the Lions, all of our NFC North shows and everything comes up. It's kind of a one-stop shop for everything Fans First Sports Network.
That's dope. That's dope. I did not know that. I did not know that. It's good to know though. It's good to know. And we definitely want to salute Foster for not only covering Foster covers the Tigers, Pistons, Lions, not just from a podcast standpoint, but he also writes as well. And I think you covered the Knicks as well, right? As far as
I
writing.
do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I have an article that dropped last week, breaking down the Carl Anthony Towns blockbuster trade from the Knicks perspective of things. So yeah, that's another article that's out there when you go to FFSN, and I think you can you can just Google FFSN Knicks, Pistons, Lions, and it'll all, and the archive of all the articles will pop up in your search engine. So
Yeah, we got to do a Pistons show this week.
definitely.
I forgot to do a Pistons show this week. Today is what, the 11th?
13th.
The 13th. Golly.
It's going. It's rolling.
Because I think opening day is opening night is the 23rd, I believe.
Yeah, I think we're like 10. I think we're 10 days away.
10 days away from the NBA season officially starting. That's crazy. We're gonna have football going on, basketball going on. Oh man, it's gonna be a beautiful fall. You know what I'm saying, as far as sports. And me and Foster is gonna continue to cover this stuff. We're not gonna slow down. We're just gonna it's like full steam ahead. We're gonna see more material from us. Uh, we want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. Make sure that you are subscribed to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube, please. We're trying to get those subscribers up. Um, we're still under 200 subs on there. It should be a lot more. Like, and then as far as the podcast aggregators, you make sure you follow us, Bleachers to Speakers, FFSN in your search. Check us out, man. You got any last words before we get out of here, folks?
Keys to the game: controlling the line of scrimmage, getting to Dak, and winning the turnover battle.
You know, man, that's always a common theme when it comes to a keys to the game. If you can control the line of scrimmage, your chances at winning are very, very good.
Absolutely.
That's just football 101. But yeah, but it's not always clear cut. But we do have to control the line of scrimmage to win the game. I think that not turning the ball over and we'll be fine. I want to see how Goff follows up this 18 for 18 performance.
Yeah.
Newsflash, people, he will throw some incompletions. It's going to happen. He's not going to be perfect throwing the ball this game. It just doesn't happen.
Oh, one more thing. Do not let the game be close towards the end of the game. We don't want to even leave it in the hands of the refs or, just any type of fluky stuff. Like it would be nice to have a nice sizable lead.
It wouldn't go in our favor, in my opinion.
I mean,
some odd reason these things seem to shake out against what we got going. But hey, let's not leave it in the refs' hands. Let's take care of business early. Let's control the line of scrimmage. Let's get a lead, keep it, not have it close. So I want to thank everybody for checking us out. We will be back after the game tonight. So check us out there. Foster, I want to salute you for your coverage of the Tigers. I know you're going to continue to cover them in the off season. And this is just not a fluke thing. And it's not Foster actually enjoys. He's a big fan of the Detroit Tigers. So it's not just something he jumped on. And there was no implications at the beginning of the year that the Tigers would do what they did. So it's not like he saw an opportunity. The Tigers getting good. Let me cover them. No, that's not what happened.
Right.
I mean, up until the last month of the season, it was like they weren't going to make the playoffs. They weren't going to make the wild card if you let the last month of the season dictate it. But that's not what happened.
0.2% chance of getting in.
And made it.
August 11th.
Sure. Oh, you see, Foster's on his stuff, man. Peace.
Get your lick back. If a nigga gon' do something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga gon' do something, ain't no chit chat.